In this video, we will graph a linear equation using ordered pairs. Our first equation is y equals 2x minus 5. First of all, let's create a table of values. So with y equals 2x minus 5, we have the x values of -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. Remember, what we need to do is we need to substitute each x value in and get a y value out. So let's write this down. Y equals, and then we're going to go 2 times -2 minus 5. Let me write all the substitutions down. So the next one is -1. So y equals, instead of 2x minus 5, it's 2 times -1 minus 5. Next one is 0, so y equals 2 times 0 minus 5. Next one is 1, so y equals 2 times 1 minus 5. And y equals 2 times 2 minus 5. Let's speed up the process. We can type them in individually, or let's use some of the advanced features on our calculator now. So on our calculator, what I'm going to do is go to the y equals button. It's in the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to type in the equation 2, and then the x is located next to my green key, x minus 5. Now, to get a table of values, if you see above the graph key in the upper right-hand corner, there's the word table. So I'm going to go second and then graph to access the table feature. If I scroll up, I can see at -2, it's kind of small, so at -2 the value is -9. So I'm going to go ahead and write these calculations down. -2, the y value is -9. At -1, the y value is -7. At 0, the y value is -5. At 1, the y value is -3. And at 2, the y value is -1. So the ordered pair that we're going to have to graph is -2, -9, -1, -7, 0, -5, 1, -3, and 2, -1. So let's go ahead and put those points on our graph then. So -2, -9. So I go to the left 2 and down 9, to the left 1 and down 7. Just start from the origin center and go down 5. 1, -3, so to the right 1 and up, down 3, still go to the negatives here. And our last one to the right 2 and down 1, so it's 2, -1. And as you can see, we have the dots that form a line. So I'm going to go ahead and very carefully try and draw a straight line through that. Put the arrows on the end to indicate that the arrows go on forever. On our calculator, to see the graph, we can just hit our graph feature. And we can see that our graph is graphing that. It looks very, very similar to what we have, and you can also do quite a few adjustments on our calculator. Let's go to our next problem. Our next problem is y equals -3/4 x. So with this problem, notice our x values, we do not have any. So let me choose some. I'm going to go ahead and choose -4, -1, 0, 1, and 4. I'll explain in a minute why I choose those values once we've figured out our answers. So with y equals -3/4 x, our first x value is -4. So I'm going to substitute that in. Y equals -3/4 times -4. Substitute in the next value of -1. So y equals -3/4 times -1. Y equals -3/4 times 0. Y equals -3/4 times 1. And the last one, y equals -3/4 times 4. So we can substitute them all in individually on the calculator, or we can use our advanced features. So I'm going to go back to y equals, and I'm going to clear my equation out. I'm going to type in -3/4 x, and I'm going to go to my table of values by hitting second and then graph to access my table. So my values here. As you can see, I have quite a few decimal places, but at -4, the y value there is 3. I'm not going to write down -3, -2, -1, or -3 and -2, but I will write down -1. So let's see what those values are. So if x is -4, the corresponding y value is going to be +3. If the x value is -1, the corresponding y value is 0.75. If x is 0, the y value is also 0. If x is 1, the y value is -0.75. If x is 4, the y value is then a -3. So let's go ahead and graph those. So it's -4, 3, -1, and 0.75, 0, 0, 1, and -0.75, 4, and -3 on the graph here. So we start at our origin. Our first coordinate is -4, 3, so I go to the left 4 and up 3. Place a point there. -1 and 0.75. That's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. Okay, to the left 1 and up 0.75. 0, 0 is the origin. So then we go 1 and -0.75, to the right 1 and down 0.75, and then to the right 4 and down 3. We can connect these dots. And draw our arrows at either end. Now, why I chose -4 and +4 for our graph? Well, as you can see, graphing the 0.75 and the -0.75 for our y values was kind of difficult. So I chose the 4 and -4 because of our denominator of 4. So choosing any multiple of 4, which is our denominator, would help reduce the decimals that we have to graph. Next, on our graphing calculator, we can go ahead and hit graph, and we can see our graph goes down to the right because our slope is negative.